Honourable Rodney High.
Just to answer the question of Honourable Ruth Dyson and to settle her concerns and that of her constituents, the long-term council community plan that's released, it just stays in place and the consultation just continues. It is exactly as set out.
Dr. Kennedy Graham. Was you a doctor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wish to address Part 3 of this bill, and in particular Section 34, which says imposition of moratorium, power to impose moratorium on specified applications. ECAN may, and on that point, sir, I allude back to a point made earlier by Brendan Burns, and I had attempted to get the same point across before our debate was cut off under Part 1. The reference to ECAN is very sloppy drafting. Throughout the text, the text is littered with references to ECAN. ECAN is indeed defined in the interpretation clause, but it is a poor use of legal drafting, equally badly, almost as bad as Section 9, which talks about elected members shall cease to hold office, and that this applies no matter what the two bills may say, no matter what the two acts may say. It is so clearly drafted in haste that it really requires considerable time left for a revision to be undertaken. But when I look to Clause 34 and the imposition of a moratorium, I ask myself, why is it that an unelected body would be granted such powers when the elected council was not granted those powers? And the answer we are given, both in the Creech report and now by the government, is that ECAN was insufficiently efficient in applying the water management strategy and granting consents. So on the basis of that, I was disposed to undertake some research in comparing ECAN, Environment Canterbury, the regional council, with the other 11 regional councils and the 3 unitary authorities to see how the others are done, because there has been a great deal of concern and apprehension expressed in the House this morning about which other regional councils may go under the guillotine on the basis of the same rather loose and subjective and partisan criteria that have been brought to bear upon Environment Canterbury. And we look at the other 11 councils and we look at the other 3 unitary authorities, and we emerge with 3 general observations. The first is that some councils have a regional water management plan. Other councils combine this with a land and water management plan or a more holistic resources management plan. The second observation is that there seems to be a lengthy process for the introduction of these plans in every case, which involves the introduction by the council, followed by the request for submissions, then a hearing, then an appeals process before the plan becomes operational, either completely or in part. The third observation is that water and resource management plans are, quote, living documents and appear in many cases to be constantly subject to updating and variations. Now, I think we need to take those 3 observations very much into account when we are reflecting on the dissolution of Environment Canterbury, because Environment Canterbury was said to have come in 84th out of 84, as I said in the second reading, and that is misleading because it came in essentially 12th out of 12 of the regional councils. Let us look at those 12 councils and the 3 unitary authorities to see where they each stand. By my count, of the 15, 12 plus 3, 6, Mr. Chairman, have not notified completely water plans. They have either not proposed anything, as in the case of 3, or they have simply made a statement of water intent, as in the case of 1, or they have simply notified a plan in parts, as in the case of 2, Marlborough and Tasman. So we have Canterbury, West Coast, Tasman, Marlborough, Gisborne and Auckland, which have either not proposed a plan, simply made a statement, or simply made a plan in parts. That is 40%, Mr. Chairman, 40% of the total 15 regional councils and unitary authorities. So, to answer the question of Mr. Chris Hipkins and others earlier today as to who is next, the short answer is if you are in any one of those other 5, apart from Canterbury, watch out, because the guillotine might be coming your way. 40%. So let us... Thank you, Mr. Chairman.